Hey everybody, I thought I would take just a second, compare the new Pelican 1535 Air to the older style Pelican 1510. The new Pelican Air is supposed to be up to 40% lighter. So this is the new Pelican 1535. Very comparable to the older style case. There's a couple things on it I really like. There's a couple things on it that I really dislike, so just kind of dive into it. My first overall impression of the 35 is that it's not as strong as the 1510 case is. When you look at something like just the the top, there's a little bit of flex to it over here. There's seems to be a lot more flex. It doesn't take much to kind of get the same thing where it takes some heft to get any kind of bend on that 1510 case. My biggest gripe with the 35 is right here at the top of the case. Um, you've got a real nice little handle here when you're pulling the case out of a car or just taking a real quick walk where you're not going to extend the roller handle, and it's just completely missing on the 35. I'm sure you can walk around with this and be fine. I use that handle a lot when we're just taking a small little trip, and I know they're completely backed up and warranted and everything, but I just kind of concerned about holding 25 pounds with this thing right here. So swinging around here to the back of the case, you kind of got these ridges. I mean, I don't know, this feels more industrial and this feels a little bit more consumer. I'm sure they're supposed to hold the same amount of stuff, but I mean, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see very well in the videos, these little grooves here. They're not as thick as the grooves here on the 1510, but it's just another thing they had to do to save some space. This here's the underside of the case. Wheels are, I mean, they're about the same. This one just kind of touching the ground, so it's not going to spin, but the wheels are really similar. Moving around to the front side of the case, the 1510 case, solid latches. You know, everyone knows the familiar sound. The latches seem to be pretty much retained over to the 1535. They are hollowed out, so they definitely don't, again, have that heft to them. I mean, they really tried to shave every gram of weight they could off the case. The Pelican 1510s have this little plate here that can be taken out. You can get something inscribed on them, and I've never seen anybody do that. With the 35, they came up with a nice little solution, which I'm really kind of shocked about. This little card holder. When I saw this, the first thing I said was, hey, that thing's just gonna break. But to be honest, it's pretty nice. Could be a cool new feature. I probably see that coming to more Pelicans later on. I haven't done it yet. I guess you kind of lift, slide it, pull it down, and then we're still on focus here. Just kind of slide it back up in there, slide it over, and it fits in the front. That's actually pretty nice, and that's even more sturdy on the top side. That has worked out way better than I thought it would. Other things, these latches are areas to put a padlock or something in. They seem about the same. The handle on the new 35, you're limited. That's as far up as it goes, and then you kind of push it down. And I think they did that for better storage inside of an airplane or something like that. With the 1510 case, you've got a little bit more range to it. Kind of go wherever you want to go. Okay, I've boosted up the ISO a little bit, so hopefully you can see this better. So starting with the 1510 here on the left, Pelican came up with this design, and it just kind of attached onto the back of a standard case here. The new case, however, is a single design. It's all built in. It looks a lot more sleek than the 1510 does. Can have this two-tone effect over here, and here it kind of looks, more like you'd expect to see luggage. Everything is built in to the case here. Let's go inside the cases now. I'm just going to open both of them up real quick. We'll talk about that in a second. So this one here is set to hold our Mac Pro, our Mac trash can. Everything just kind of feels nice and solid with that one. It's got the foam. Okay, so the major annoyance with the 1510 is that every single time we open this lid, that's down on the ground. The top foam just does not stay up. I don't know if it's because of these notches here or what the problem is, but this foam just will not stay up. Maybe we could cut some little holes back here to just allow for those to for the foam to kind of suction up into it a little bit better. That might be nice. That might be something we actually think about doing. The 1510 is nice because it has these little grooves on the underside of the case. This allows you to put one of those, they make little systems you can put in here that hold memory cards or whatever else, and you actually screw it into these little nodules that are poking down. Over on the 35 case, what's nice, and not that I've opened this 200 times yet, but every time I've opened it up, the foam has stuck to the top of the lid. Some Pelican cases, it just always falls out. I've got a 1600 case. I've never had it fall out once. This 1510 case, I've never had it stay up once. And so far, this 35 case has stayed up. Even when I've kind of jostled the case around, it sticks up there. So that's nice. So another thing here about this foam is you can pull it out. What's interesting is it has two pieces of foam stuck together there. I don't really know what that's for. My guess is that the case here is a little bit more flexible, like we talked about a second ago, and that this extra padding is just in case you stack multiple cases on top. I'm guessing that's why it's there, but have no clue whatsoever. This is missing those little nodule pieces to allow you to actually screw in one of those mesh nets, or I don't know what they're called, but I've seen them where they hold the cards and extra accessories and stuff. Okay, I went ahead and took out the Trek Pack system just so I could actually do a full-on comparison. The Pelican 1535 bottom foam is on the bottom here, and the 1510 bottom foam is on the top there, so your gear's a little bit more protected with the 35. Of course, if you have gear that goes real deep, maybe you need that extra inch of foam. This is kind of neat. I just now saw this. There's a little foam down in here, so they really have tried to pad up the bottom quite a bit. First impressions were I didn't really like this case. It just felt like a cheap storm case, but as I'm kind of playing around with it and just kind of dissecting it, it definitely seems a little nicer than I thought. So the 1510 case is, for the most part, just kind of solid clean, because the entire extending system is built on the outside of the case instead of on the inside of the case like it is with the 35. I just kind of wanted to show the differences in sort of the flexibility of the case. And I don't mean flexibility as in what you can do with it. I mean flexibility as in how much it bends and bows and stuff like that. I'm a pretty big guy. I feel like with a 1510 case, I could probably stand on it and be just fine. The 35 case, I don't feel like I could stand on that without breaking it. I don't know what the specs are, but in my head, that's the impressions that I definitely have. So, opening the hood up again. I hope I'm not getting in the way too much, but kind of see the amount of flexing. So it's coming down a little now. Of course, you're never going to do that, but I'm just trying to compare strength of the cases. If I'm going to put $5,000 or more inside one of these cases, I want them tough. That's why I'm buying a Pelican. So I was actually surprised. This does bend more than I remembered it bending, but it's definitely not as much. It's not as easy to bend it as the 35 is. Okay, I don't really know how to show this either. Hopefully I'm even in here, but there's a little bit of flexing, but not much on the sides with the 1510. Okay, again with the 35, I mean, it's flexing quite a bit. If you're really wanting the toughest thing out there, the 10 is probably stronger than the 35. They shaved some plastic down to get the weight down, and a little bit more flexible, maybe stronger, but it just kind of feels like one of the it feels like a cheaper case. I haven't decided on getting one of these inserts, for the back. I think if you're dead set on the insert, the 1510 is probably definitely a better bet, since you can actually screw it in instead of using tape. Okay, definitely one more thing I wanted to show is the extension handle for when you're carrying it. The Air is actually, I mean, I'm eyeballing this thing here, but you might get half an inch more height with the 35 case than you do with the 10. I think the one thing that's really bugging me right now is that the 35 doesn't have this top handle. When I'm getting out of the car or something and just getting on the ground, I like to grab by this handle. So one last thing I wanted to do was check the weight of the case. I left the foam in here because if I pack all my gear, there would still be some foam in it. It weighs 13 pounds, it's jumping between 2.2 and 2.4 ounces. And now we've got the 1535 on, and it is 10 pounds, 12.4 ounces. So almost 11 pounds. It's not as drastic as I was hoping the Pelican Air would be. Most of the time you're going to be rolling this thing. At least I would be. Now, picking it up from a table and moving it into its vertical position and extending the arm, is it worth $50 more to go with the 35 case that maybe doesn't feel as substantial? I'm really not sure. There's some good and bad of each case. The 1510 is heavier, but you can buy this tan case with the foam at Amazon for I believe it was $160, and then you can go to B&H and get the Trek Pack system for $115, or you can pay $315 for the 35. So you could save $50 by going with the older system, and it might feel a little bit more substantial to you. But let me know what you think about this. You can leave some comments below or ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll let you know which one I decided to keep later on. So I think that's about it. And thanks for watching.